When I was in my late 50s, I got retrenched from my regular career, which was a programmer analyst. And then I got retrenched a second time the week COVID started, also as a programmer analyst. And since then, I've been floating around trying to pick up small part-time jobs, and I've lowered my standards to pretty much take any type of job. So I want to discuss one of the types of jobs that I took in basically the 5 years that I've been unemployed since 2019, and one of those was in the supermarket. And it was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, supermarket chain in Australia. So you know who I'm talking about. There's only two major players here, and I can tell you in summary that the experience, one of the worst employers to work for that I've ever had. And I've had quite a few jobs, at least 30 jobs I've had. So the onboarding process was quite simple. Applying for the job was quite simple. It was the way they treated me once I had the job, which was the problem. So working in the supermarket, there's a huge cultural diversity, mainly age. So you have a lot of teenagers and all the way up to people my age. Not many, but there's a few up to my age, and I'm in my mid-60s. So back then I was probably 62, I guess. It started off with me working about 20 hours a week on minimum wage, which was okay. I mean, I could pay the bills, but I couldn't do much else. I really didn't have any spending money. And then the supermarket had the practice of just turning over people. So they would bring in more people, and then over time my shift started getting less and less. So after about 6 months, I was down to about 10 hours a week, which was probably a few $100s a week in salary. So it definitely couldn't afford to pay the rent on that type of salary, and I complained to the managers, I need more time. And they gave me more time for a couple of weeks, and then they dropped me off down to 5 hours a week. And after about 4 or 5 months of that, I started complaining again. And then the roster manager put me down to 0 hours a week. And then after 3 months of that, of being rostered no shifts whatsoever, they just quietly dropped me off the payroll. The reason that I was terminated, not given any shifts, was because I had not filled in my availability, which I know is complete bullshit, because that was the first thing they push you to do before you even get a first shift. So it was just an excuse. It's just trying to justify to themselves that they're good people and they're doing the right thing. In actual fact, they're not. So why was I only given 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week? Well, I slowly came to the realization that my purpose there was just relieving teenagers. So the teenagers were sick or just didn't show up for work quite often, and I would get hours notice to come in and relieve somebody. Sometimes it would be a very early shift. I mean, I'm talking early, like 5:30 a.m. And the shifts would only be maybe 3 hours. So, it's a major disruption to your life. Get up that time for a once only effort for 3 hours and get maybe $50 salary, and then you go home tired for the next couple of days. So, and that's pretty well how I was treated. So I did notice working for the supermarket, there was absolutely no attention paid to you being punctual, no attention to you being polite or getting along with customers. So it was none of that. Basically, they couldn't care less. So I was always punctual. I think I was maybe sick twice in a year, and I was genuinely sick, and it didn't make any difference. So a lot of these teenagers would be getting 25, 35, sometimes almost up to 40 hours a week work, and I would be getting 5 hours. And quite often, a lot of people would come to work, they would disappear in the toilet and sit on their mobile phone for a long time. And others would just walk out the store and just disappear. And that was all treated with a blind eye. So, and here I am trying to do the right thing, and I wasn't rewarded for my hard work, and I wasn't seen as a reliable person. Basically, I was just seen as the filler-in person for the cheaper people. So I guess the reason these people got all the work was that they were cheaper. But they were cheaper for a reason. I mean, I don't think their work productivity was any better than me. In some people, yes. Other people, like, hell no, not even close. But that didn't seem to matter. And I went to the manager a number of times and I explained to him, I said, I would see him outside the store and he said, oh, what's going on? And I said, well, nobody's giving me any shifts. Oh, why don't you go see such and such? And I said, well, you're the person who hired me. Why don't you ask? No one's going to listen to me. And he just wasn't interested. Not interested in helping me or getting involved or doing anything. So a message to anyone out there, if you're thinking of a career in a supermarket, don't treat it like a career. It's just a job to do until you find a real job. So make no bones about it. You're treated like a number. You're only a commodity to push the products to drive a profit for the shareholders. They don't care about you whatsoever. So that's a hard lesson I learned with that. So, I mean, also in this day and age, hard working and being punctual accounts for nothing. So I try not to live with that old-fashioned ideal anymore. So I couldn't care less about the people I work for anymore. So I hope that was helpful for somebody. And if you're thinking of a career in the supermarket, good luck to you. Ciao.